Hi, so I'm here with my client Karen, and Karen is going to share her experience of the Sober Sisters Rise to Freedom coaching program. So, welcome, Karen.
Hi, Kath.
Great to see you again. And so, tell me, what were you looking for right before we started working together?
To be honest with you, I didn't really know. All I knew is that the programs I'd looked at before, either online or books or whatever, didn't really feel right for me. I'd read some books and I'd kind of put my toe in the water with some programs, but they just didn't feel right for me. I was looking for a different approach, a more holistic approach, I think. And I'm a strong believer in that people will turn up when you most need them, or when you're ready to connect with them. And I think that's kind of what happened, how you came into Facebook and I kind of connected with you. So I'll be honest with you, I didn't really know until I met you.
Hmm. Yeah, I get that. I get that. I love that how things can just show up at the right time. And especially when, you're not really sure what you want, but this thing comes and you're like, yeah, that could be.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So is there anything that almost stopped you for joining Rise to Freedom?
I'd already had a period of sobriety before I found you and we connected. So I didn't know at that point if the program was right for me. But once I'd spoken to you on our initial call, I knew that it was, and that it could be so much more than just focusing on stopping the drinking in its isolation, although that obviously is a key part of it. And the only other thing that perhaps did worry me to start with was opening up and being vulnerable and being honest with somebody about my drinking, about my life, about how I was feeling. Um, but you're so gentle and you've got such a supportive way about you that you soon put me at ease, and I kind of felt safe sharing some quite personal stuff with you, things I'd perhaps not shared with anybody else before. Um, so once we started chatting, you did put me at ease, and I thought, actually, I don't need to worry about that. So once I put those fears aside, there wasn't really anything else that I thought, well, I may as well just give it a go.
Hmm. Oh, thank you. That's great to know. And yeah, I think it's really important that we can be open and be vulnerable, and definitely. So thank you for sharing that. So, what was your first impression of the Rise to Freedom program?
Um, First impression was, I think I've touched on it a little bit before, about how different the program is to anything else I'd looked at or tried before. How you kind of view each of us, and or the individual as a whole person, as a more holistic thing. So it's not just about your drinking, and it's all how about all the tools that you teach us can be
Mm,
used in all areas of your life, not just in the drinking in its isolation, but you can filter those through into, I don't know, work, business, relationships, self-care, all those different things that you talk about. Um, and I think that's why it worked so well for me. And also the Sober Sisters formula is so easy to follow. Once it's explained to you, it's so easy to follow that it's not overwhelming.
mm,
And it just kind of makes sense once all these things are explained and they click in. It's just like, oh yeah, actually, that makes sense. It's something you feel, actually, I can do that. I can put those things into place. So that was the first impressions, is that, yeah, this is something that I can cope with, that I can do.
mm. I love that. So, share a few of the results that you've achieved while we've been working together.
Okay, so one of the big things for me is that my menopause symptoms have definitely reduced and improved, whether that's because I'm not drinking as much, whether that's all the other self-care things I'm putting into place, or whether that's just my mindset. I think it's probably a combination of all three. So
Wow.
that's a big thing for me. Um, Learning how to cope with evenings after work. Historically, my husband and I would both come home, we'd sit down. The first thing we do is, I'll come, let's catch up over a drink. And I did struggle with, he's still drinking. So I did struggle for a while with he's still drinking. How am I coping with that? Not necessarily being triggered, but almost being cross with the fact that he's still drinking and I'm not. So one of the big results is actually learning how to cope with that, and the coping strategies and the things that you taught me to do with those. And also a big result for me is realizing that some days I don't even think about drinking anymore. You know, you come home and, you know, my husband's question about, oh, do you want anything to drink? Without even thinking about it, I'll say I have a cup of tea, or have a ginger beer, or, you know, whatever, in my glass of water, without even having that internal battle or that internal conversation and trying to justify, well, you know, I could have one, or it's Friday, or whatever it might be. So that's a big result. And the other result is on the times I have had a blip, and I'll be honest with you, I have every now and then. I've learned not to beat myself up, to not spend the next 2 or 3 days poor me, or beating myself up, or being cross with myself. It's like drawing a line. It happened. Try and learn from it what I can. Was there a trigger? Was there a situation? If there was, great. If not, okay, it is what it is. Today's another day, and move on. So that's another really big thing for me.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean with that. I just think that's a really, really powerful thing for us all to take and to remember as well, because we can so often just beat ourselves up, stay in that cycle, go down even further, and just it's not good. So I love that.
And it's another element of the self-care that you talk about and you teach us, is that actually self-care isn't beating myself up.
Yeah. So who do you, hang on, I've just got to ask you this question. So what breakthroughs have you experienced that you didn't anticipate when you joined?
Loads.
Yeah,
absolutely loads. Yeah, so I'm just going to run through a few.
Yeah.
But there's loads and loads. The first one is discovering, or starting to discover, who I really am as a person. You know, you talk about the sorceress, and we've joked about on our calls my sexy temptress side, and all that kind of stuff. So really playing around with it and discovering who I really am. And on the same path really is discovering and exploring and discovering my more spiritual side, and practicing and reading and thinking about things I would never have done before when I was drinking, or even when in my own period of sobriety before I met you. You know, things I wouldn't have thought about looking at before, or even being interested in before. Another big breakthrough for me is making connections with other women. I think that's one of the things we talked about, is that I've kind of missed that, and I struggled to connect with groups of women in the past. And I'm starting slowly to put myself out there a bit more, to be braver, to realize that actually I'm okay as I am. I don't have to try and be anybody or anything other than me, and people will like me for that. So that's been a massive breakthrough for me. I've enrolled on a course to start up a women's circle myself, which I would never have done before.
Amazing.
I know, and that's all thanks to you. Yeah, so I would never even considered doing it before.
Wow. that's really exciting.
So yeah, so watch this space for that. And you've really opened my eyes and inspired me to kind of really think about and rediscover my feminine power, my goddess. So much so that I now try and have a Goddess Friday.
Yeah, and I love Goddess Fridays, and I'm so excited to hear that you're doing that.
I'm really trying to do my Goddess Friday. So yeah, so all those things, you've inspired me to go on this journey of self-discovery, self-acceptance. So much, you know, when we first started the calls, I can't even explain how so much more that you've given me and brought into my life as a result.
This is so great, and you have just put the work in. You've shown up to the calls, you've done the work, and you're getting the results. And it's, you know, it's down to you, because if you do the strategy, if you do it, it works.
It does. It really does work. Yeah.
So, who do you believe would be a really great fit for Rise to Freedom?
I feel that any woman, literally any woman who is concerned about their drinking, whether that's drinking every day, drinking too much at the weekends, whatever it might be, who someone might be just sober curious, might have had a period of sobriety already, like I did, um, or is just really struggling to stop, you'll get so much value out of the program, no matter where you are on your journey. So anybody that is even slightly concerned about, or even just starting to ask themselves the question, you know, should I cut down, or am I drinking too much, or is drink controlling me rather than the other way around? So literally anybody who's got any question, how, no matter how small, is a good fit for the program, I would say.
Mm. And what words of wisdom can you share with someone who wants to join, but they might be overthinking a bit?
I would say just go for it, just do it. You've got nothing to lose. Have a call with you, find out a little bit more, find out, you know, how much more you've got to offer, and also to connect with you and realize how, you know, how supportive and generous you are, how different your approach is, and as I said, you've got nothing to lose and so much, even so much to gain, even things that you might not even realize you've got to gain, just like I did. So yeah, just do it, just go for it,
Mm,
and don't be afraid.
love it. Definitely. Thank you so much, Karen, for sharing your experience with us. I've absolutely loved working with you, and I've been excited to be a part of your journey. And yeah, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Kath.
Hang on, just stopping recording.